A week and 2 days from right now, the Louisiana Marathon is back. Joining me now in studio, a pair of Pats, Pat Fellows, Pat O'Brien. Gentlemen, welcome back. How are you? Happy New Year.
Great. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah.
Glad to have you all on. Glad to be I love talking about the marathon every year. It is one of my favorite events. It's one of my highlights of the Baton Rouge calendar overall. Let's get into some of the details of the race before we talk about growth and how y'all have evolved this thing.
Yeah, so it starts next Friday. We'll have the packet pickup / Louisiana shopping experience, a little bit like an expo, but we've gone a different route and having makers from local makers there as opposed to all running shoes, all those things to really kind of highlight some different things. We have people from everywhere coming, so that's all day Friday, and then DDD has been working hand in hand with us to do a live after 5 lanyard. So Friday night, which is a cool thing, we're going to have an outdoor live after 5 again. So in the winter, which that's a one-off.
Already running the promos for it now. Looking forward to it. It's an out of season live after 5, which every year the race is a fantastic finish fest. So
correct.
You get the pre-fest and the post-fest now.
Absolutely, that was the goal. We wanted to kind of give some people who from out of state a little bit of a Louisiana experience and a little bit of flair that they don't get at other events.
Yeah, and so the expo is actually in one of the River Center ballrooms.
Okay.
So it's literally, if you're on the Galvez Plaza, if you can imagine the backside of the band, if you go straight across to the ballrooms, that's where it's going to be. And it's open to the public, so there'll be opportunities if you just want to see what the marathon's about, talk with people, visit with people who are going to be here from out of state. That's a cool opportunity. That rolls into Saturday for us, which Saturday is the 5K quarter marathon and kids race. And that's by and large people from out of state will do it as a function of doing probably the full or the half the next day. But it's really our local race, right? Like, so 5K, anybody can come out and walk a 5K.
Yeah.
Quarter marathon, if you want to push yourself a little bit, and the kids race. Those are still open and available for local folks if they, want to come out, just be a part of the weekend. We'll have bands, we'll have food afterwards. So it's a super cool opportunity to be involved.
What kind of numbers do we talk about on this? Like how many people get out there? Because it's early in the year, it's just...
for the 5K is locally, it's weird. Some years, a lot of people sign up early. Then sometimes they'll be like, hey, you know what? They'll hear something like this and go, I can still get out there. Let's go do it. It ranges anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 people for the first day.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and by and large, it's a local. That's mostly local. Again, we do a thing called a double down. No, it's not double. Deja vu.
Yep.
Sorry, we have another race that's a double down. Where basically, if let's say Brian's going to do the half marathon, you can do the 5K the day before, get that medal, finish the half on Sunday, and get that medal, and by doing both, get a third medal.
Wow. Okay.
So you'll have some people doing that who will do the Sunday races, which brings us to that. That's the half and the full. Again, similar sort of numbers. We'll have anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000 people do that event year over year. It just depends on who's going to be there.
Is registration still open for the half and full?
Yep. The marathon is almost sold out. The full marathon is almost sold out. But both races are still open. All the races are still open. A lot of local people will wait for the forecast to come out to see what their plans are.
Have y'all checked the early forecast, or do you wait till the last minute?
I try not to do that, but I check the week of.
You want me to tell you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Not yet.
Then I won't.
I checked this morning. There's been a long-standing joke that I sold my soul, my kids, and my soul to get good weather for the marathon, and it went well for about the first 5 or 6 years, and then it was kind of a crapshoot on it. But this weekend, I looked, it looks promising.
Wait, let's not say any more than that because we don't want to jinx it. Plus, it's Louisiana weather.
That's right.
More than a week out, or Louisiana
Which
weather
is why
more than 3
I tend
days
to not
out.
look at it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Talking with Pat O'Brien and Pat Fellows about the Louisiana Marathon. All right, course itself, the race course itself. Folks will be traipsing all through Baton Rouge. This has kind of grown into an event where, and I've been to them before, tailgate parties for it along the route. Map me out where we're going to be.
Yeah, so it starts on 4th Street and heads down to the lakes and wraps around the lakes, goes through, goes down Kleinert and Steele, heads out of that area into Old Goodwood and wraps around Terra and then comes back downtown. So it really goes across a good bit of town.
Okay, that stretch up Terra, did y'all have to make a change this year? 'Cause
We
there's
did.
a bridge under
So the
construction.
Chevelle Bridge is out. Now you're right on it. So we used to cross
I'll
that
give you a hint when we
bridge.
just do that.
Yeah, so that we used to cross that bridge and come back up Goodwood. This year we've remeasured and recertified the course, and it will come back up Seven Oaks the same way they go out on the course. The big thing that the general public needs to know is that traffic is not closed. It will be controlled by BRPD and other agencies. But the choke points are typically around Jefferson and Goodwood and Foster and Claycut.
Yeah, Foster
Foster
Goodwood.
and Claycut.
Yep.
And then, of course, downtown. And anybody that's coming to do something downtown, we always recommend that they access from the south side, from the government side of downtown. You can still get around, but we'll have 185 plus officers from multiple agencies managing traffic flow all over town.
The and it's Sunday morning, so you got a lot of folks going
to church.
We'll go to Our Lady of Mercy, and
absolutely.
we'll drive right up Goodwood and see the diversion of traffic right there on the.
And we always
on the other
encourage
side.
people who live in those areas to come out and go out in their front yard and cheer for the runners. That some of those parts of the course get lonely in your own headspace. You're 19 to 20 miles into a race. A family out cheering for you is a good boost.
So when we've done this before, the kids will yell at them as they're coming, cheering them on, but ask where they're from as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what kind of numbers are we looking at? Where are people coming in from this year?
I think we have all states
or close to it. I think we're at 47 states right now. You usually have trouble getting Hawaii, Alaska, and usually one of the Dakotas.
Yeah.
You think about how sparsely populated or how far people have to travel from. I have a good friend of mine who owns a running store in Alaska, and I was texting him around Christmas. I was like, hey, man, there's still time to get down here and run the half or the full. He's like, I'd die. I'm out of shape. I'm like, you can run a 5K, but it's kind of a long way to go.
And we do get a decent international following as well.
That's pretty cool.
Over time, I think that we've had almost 40 different countries represented. I don't know what it is right now. One of the cool things I remember, one of the guys from Visit Baton Rouge, or Paul
Arrigo,
was walking. It was one of the first years we had it. And he, you remember Paul, he's very gregarious, would talk to anybody, walks out of the Hilton and talks to somebody and is like, hey, where y'all are from? They're like Finland or Sweden or something like that, which was good for us. We're bringing some people from a lot of places, but it's super cool. On the front side of the chute, you'll see we'll have flags from every country that's been represented at different times.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And that brings us around to economic impact here. I mean, while the race is awesome, the dollars that come into Baton Rouge, this has become a driver, or an economic impact driver for a weekend in Louisiana where you're not going to see a whole lot more.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been working really diligently with Visit Baton Rouge and the city to capture some of that data. Because it is, I mean, it's a big number, and we want the city to embrace the race as much as we embrace the race. And when they see those numbers, that's certainly a positive driver for them too.
Well, and this is one of those where you don't have to be a runner to be supportive of it. Whether you're talking about going out to the pop up or the impromptu, I guess, live after 5 on Friday night, or the Finish Fest on Sunday. They're both the Finish Fest is always a fantastic event, weather permitting.
Yeah.
But it's you don't have to physically run to be a supporter of the overall thing, and just the numbers of folks we see out there has grown every single year. What's managing the growth been like?
It's been more of a, trying to figure out the trends and are people signing up early, or are they signing up later? And after the COVID stuff happened, all the trends kind of changed, and we're still trying to figure out how to adjust for those trends. But we work closely with BRPD and DPS to make sure that they know our numbers, so that they know that how to help us safely manage the growth numbers.
What goes into running a marathon? I mean, if someone has never run a marathon before, but it's kind of been a bucket list thing, average it out, like the amount of training you need, the amount of hours and miles you put in ahead of time.
I mean, I think that it's probably not encouraged. If you had 6 months and you wanted to train for it, you could. I love how we've kind of built the event around And we've had people that started at the 5K, the next year did the quarter marathon, the next year did the half marathon, and then finally, maybe a year later, did the full. That's a cool thing to see. If you said, Pat, I want to do the full marathon next year, we could start right now, but worst case scenario, we start in June, and it's a slow build, right? Like you're really just training your body to get used to going longer and longer and longer. And if you do it smart and you only add 10, 15% a week, you can see how you get there uninjured and ready to go. So it depends on the person. I also will say, you know, if it's somebody that's a beginner marathoner, it's less about the mileage than the time on their feet.
Okay.
And so, you know, some people say, oh, you have to run 20 miles before you run a marathon. Well, if it takes you 4.5 hours to do that, you're not going to recover from that with enough time.
Right.
So you kind of, you have to play with it a little bit like that and build into a healthy way to do it, if that makes sense. You know, and conversely, some people go faster. You're like, you don't need to do 4 20 milers.
Right. And, you know, a lot of people, when they come out to one of these events for the first time, they're surprised by the various, everybody has this mental image of what a marathon runner body type and makeup is, and that's not reality.
That
reality
was probably my biggest surprise in watching it. As the runners come by and watching, like, you see the stereotype body image, like trailing people who are not the stereotype body image by a good bit. So where I was going with what it takes to get into a marathon is if somebody had that as like a New Year's resolution, this is way too short a period of time. So sign up for the 5K.
Sign up for the 5K. Sign up for the quarter, depending on where they are, and build into it. And then come back out Sunday and see who's crossing the finish line, right? Or if the event is coming by your house, step outside and watch those people, support those people, because it means a lot to those people to see it.
So going to be a lot of activity, not this weekend, but next weekend, the 14th and 15th. TheLouisianaMarathon.com is the website. Got to have the in front of it. TheLouisianaMarathon.com if you wanted to register for the 5K, the quarter, or there's still, like Pat said, there's still a few spots open in the half and the full. But, guys, we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to it every year, and I appreciate y'all coming in today.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.